Hi, my name is Melissa, and this is my first YouTube video, and I don't know where to look, so if you hear weird noises that sound like donkeys, it's my dog. So this is my first actual my first actual video. Layla, you were entertaining, so this is probably gonna be really awkward. This channel is technically a wellness and I guess a health and fitness channel. I wanted to kind of go through and introduce myself and tell you guys a little bit about, I guess, my story. I'm sitting down this time. I move around a lot. I can't help it. I'm like a little boy when it comes to that who can't stop growing. So I am a band teacher. I got my degree in instrumental music education, and I find that I really enjoy fitness and things like that, which might seem kind of ironic because I'm on the bigger side. So I grew up pretty big, so I guess I'll start with that first. I'm trying not to go into too much detail. I tried recording this a few times and I feel like it was just too much. So when I was really little, I was pretty skinny, and then I started getting bigger around second grade. And I feel like there's kind of a reason. There's usually a developmental like indicator or thing that happens that causes that. And I think the biggest issue, the biggest like I guess event in life that may have led to me becoming obese as a kid was my dad's back injury. He ended up breaking his back when I was like a toddler, so he couldn't work and he had a hard time lifting anything. He couldn't stand or sit for too long, so he ended up being home, and my mom had to get additional work. So this is when she started working multiple jobs, so I didn't really get to see her that often. My dad did the best he could. He was a stay-at-home dad. He took us to school. He helped us walk to school, things like that. But when I was skinnier, I was always playing with friends. I was always outside, didn't really care, pay much attention to food. My mom said, hey, dinner's ready. I came home and I ate. And it was good. And it was fine. And then eventually, a lot of my friends moved out of my neighborhood. And it became a little less safe. There were some bad things that were going on around that part of town, really bad things. So my parents didn't feel as comfortable letting me play outside by myself. They did here and there, obviously like in the backyard, but there's not a whole lot you can do in a tiny backyard. And I didn't have those friends to go over their house and play. And so when I got around second or third grade, I started gaining weight. And one of the things I remember specifically, like my doctor telling my parents to change, was letting me sit in front of the TV and eat. And I feel like that was just something my dad had to do a lot because he couldn't be super active with me. My mom, with her working 2 jobs, when she came home to cook dinner, she was just too tired, so we ended up eating a lot of TV dinners, microwave dinners, so a lot of processed junk food, and they just kind of throw me snacks, and that's what would keep me entertained, was eating and watching TV. And that's what I remember most of my childhood being, just sitting in front of the TV and eating. So part of that was on me. The habits, I'm not blaming my parents at all. I love them. They did the best they could. But I feel like kind of a bratty child. And when they did try to make things better for me and try to restrict what I was eating or how much I was eating, I wasn't having it. And so I take responsibility for that. But I feel like that played a huge role. My dad's disability, and then my mom having to work multiple jobs to make ends meet. So I didn't grow up with a lot of money. We ate a lot of sandwiches, a lot of ramen noodles. There's like no nutritional value at all in it. So I didn't like vegetables. I wouldn't eat most of them. I only ate chicken that had skin or was fried. I don't know, that's just how it was, I guess. And then through elementary school was okay. like I said, second, third grade, it's when I started getting kind of chubby, and I noticed I couldn't fit the clothes that I really wanted, because I wanted to look like my friends. I wanted to be like them. And I also started noticing that, you know, when I eat these things, I gain weight. But my friends, when they eat these things, they don't. And so I just felt kind of left out. And, you know, that's when I started getting kind of sad about it. So 6th grade came along, and that's where I had my first bout of like bullying. You know, girls in the locker rooms is when like flip phones became a thing. I think I had a little like track phone at that point, and they had cameras on them, and then that's when the girls started trying to take pictures in the locker room and make fun of you and send pictures to other people, and they make fun of me because I'd hide, because I knew they had phones, so I would hide in a corner of the locker room behind a locker, and I've learned how to get changed without taking my clothes off. So, you know, that was the first instance. And then 7th grade, I deemed the nickname Big Mac. Never had a Big Mac in my life. I was more of a chicken kid, I guess. I liked chicken nuggets more than that, so that's what I always ate. So I always thought that was ironic. And then kind of middle school, I played clarinet and band, and that became like a big part of my life. It was the one thing that made me feel confident in myself. I made kind of average grades, I guess. I wasn't like the smartest kid in class. They tried to put me in remedial English because I messed up big time, because, you know, back in the day we had the bubbles on the tests, and somehow I got off my bubbles, my questions. So I failed the state test because like question 23 was on bubble 24 instead, you know, so I got off and I didn't realize where I messed up. And I don't know if I went back and like thought I missed a question and like filled in the same answer twice. I don't remember what happened. I think I remember trying to fix it, but I specifically remember that happening. So, you know, I didn't really have a lot of confidence in, you know, how smart I was at that time. And so being in band was like my thing. I always made good grades in elementary school, but 6th grade was just a weird year. Moving on to 7th grade, that's when I really fell in love with band, and I started practicing a lot more, and I taught myself piano. And I think that For Release was like the first song I taught myself, or piece or whatever, on piano. I started playing bass clarinet, stuff like that. And then I tried to like get into writing music and stuff. And then I made my first YouTube channel, which never had my face on it, but where I uploaded videos of me playing my instrument, or I uploaded like recordings off of like Finale or free music writing websites. And then I went on to high school. I had a rough freshman year. I ended up transferring schools my sophomore year. And I'm gonna try to insert pictures as I talk, so if I forget, I'm sorry. But I'll try to post them and keep them up for a minute. Yeah, I got into high school, I had a rough freshman year. Ended up transferring schools because I wanted a band program that was gonna, you know, introduce me to more opportunities in that field. And the school I wanted to transfer to was in the same city, but it's close to my mom's work. So we went with that, and that's when I had to start going with her to all of her clients, because they had like a business, medical billing or something like that. And that was interesting. So went to that new high school, and I had a lot more opportunities to audition for things like Allstate. I finally got to take lessons. Mom's little business thing took off, and she had a few clients, so she was able to give me a little bit of work that was easy, like folding invoices and stuffing envelopes and mailing those out, and kind of helping her organize, you know, I don't remember what it was, but little easy things like that. And that's how we paid for my clarinet lessons when I was growing up. So junior year of high school is when I got really into music, and more so than ever, and ended up learning a little tiny bit of French horn. I learned cello, I learned violin, and wrote some more music. Ended up making Allstate Orchestra last year, clarinet 4th year, Allstate Orchestra. I remember working, oh cat, what are you doing? I remember working really hard for that, and so that kind of boosted my self-esteem quite a bit, because it wasn't very high at the time. And I'll try to post like pictures of marching band and stuff here. Again, I was still pretty big then, but I was probably not that much heavier than I am now, to be honest. Then senior year of high school, was kind of rough for me. I didn't make All-State. I worked really, really hard, so that was devastating. It was my first like really big disappointment in my life, I feel like. So I had to learn about reality, and that was tough, but I ended up auditioning for some other things, and I was in Youth Symphony where I met my friend I ended up going off to college with. I auditioned for college scholarships, and I got a scholarship to a regional university in my state, 2 hours away from home. But that summer, unfortunately, my grandfather passed away, and that was pretty tough. I think I put on quite a bit of weight during that period. My grandpa and I kind of bonded over like Chinese food and stuff, which is probably bad, but you know, we kind of egg each other on, like, hey Dad, you want to order some Chinese food? And Grandpa would be on my side all the time, but you know, I gained a lot of weight that summer. And then going into my freshman year of college, I was around 230 pounds that summer, and I'll try to post pictures of all the events that went on that summer. Anyway, he passed away right before I went off to college. And then when I was in college, freshman year, I obviously put on the freshman 15, if not like way more than that. I didn't have a car, so I had to walk everywhere. I had to live on campus. I ate cafeteria food, and I don't know, I tried to get into the habit of like eating salads before I ate my meals. So I would get a salad first, but of course I smothered it in ranch and stuff, so what was the point? And then I always ate at like this place called The Grill, which had like fried chicken and all that stuff. So of course it wasn't looking so hot. I gained up to 250 pounds. And then you'll see a picture of me, I think the summer of my freshman year of college. I came back to my high school and helped with band camp. I was getting my education degree, music education degree. So it was hard work. I had a choice. I could either make my college career path 4.5 years or 5.5 years. There's no in between. So I decided I wanted to do it in 4.5 years, so I was taking summer classes. My dad had a health scare that summer after my freshman year, and that kind of made me scared to go back to school. I almost dropped out. My freshman year was rough. I was very lonely that first year. I made some friends, but you know, I never had like that clique or like that best friend group that I could always call and say, hey, let's go do something. So I was kind of lonely. My roommate was always staying at her boyfriend's house, and so she was never there. So what I do remember though is that her and I were always like talking about diets and stuff, and like talking about me wanting to lose weight, and she wasn't very big at all, but she was talking about keto and all this other stuff and intermittent fasting, and so I started to kind of get into that, and we went to the gym like once or twice freshman year. Come around sophomore year, after all the health scare stuff that summer, I was taking 2 classes. My sophomore year of college, I had my first epiphany, oh my gosh, I have to change something moment. My brother got married in December, and I was asked to be a bridesmaid, and I had to wear a blue dress with no sleeves, no straps, nothing. And my arms were one of my biggest insecurities, which is why I always wore big baggy t-shirts. So up until this point, I literally wore sweatpants and baggy t-shirts to class every day. And if I played in a recital, it was like a sweater, a big baggy sweater, and some like baggy slacks. Because I just was trying to hide like how I felt and what I looked like. But I remember looking back at those wedding pictures a week or 2 after they came out, and just being horrified when I saw what I looked like and how big I was, because I didn't realize just how much bigger I'd gotten since starting college. So that was my epiphany moment. I jumped on the keto train. Ironically, this will play in later in the story, but my mom was working for a clinic, like a functional medical clinic at the time, and she brought me home some like paleo bar things, like health bars, and I remember getting into that and trying to eat those, and I was trying to eat like boiled eggs and like turkey bacon. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, which is the reason I wanted to create this channel and kind of take people on this journey, is because those videos are what helped me start, because I knew nothing. So I also downloaded P90X, and I tried to start P90X while I was at home for Christmas break. I think I lost 10 pounds the first 2 weeks. So maybe 5, no, it was 5 pounds. So then I was kind of hooked. After I saw that first 5 pounds come off, that's the most I'd ever like noticed that I'd lost intentionally. So when I went back to college, I got rid of the P90X. It wasn't for me. I couldn't do the jumping motions. I couldn't do very much of it at all. I actually had a long history of like exercise-induced asthma is what they tried to call it. Turns out I was just really out of shape. My heart rate would be like 220 beats per minute every time I tried to exercise or do anything like really harsh physical activity, like marching band and stuff, to the point where I even passed out and broke my ankle at some point in marching band. I think my junior year of high school, I broke my ankle. So that was embarrassing. But now I lost my train of thought. So anyway, sophomore year of college, I went back to school in January and I started going to the gym. At first I was really scared. I was really intimidated. I always wanted to bring friends with me, so that's what I did. And then I finally eventually started going by myself in the springtime. Before I knew it, I lost 30 pounds, and that's when I realized this was a reality for me and this was actually going to happen. And then I decided that, you know, I'd never lost weight before. That was the first time ever losing weight. So I stuck with it, and eventually I got under 200 pounds. So I guess I lost about 55 pounds by the end of that school year. And people started to notice and they started complimenting me. I bought my first like real clothes, like leggings, and I never wore leggings before. I bought like real shirts. I bought like tank tops and all this other stuff that I'd never worn before in my life. And people were complimenting me because I'd never dressed up before, so it was all new to everybody. And then I gained a little bit of weight back over that summer, I think. And then junior year of college, gained a little weight back in the fall, and then ended up getting back on the train again towards the springtime. And I remember every morning I'd have like a banana, some like, I think cardio cuts, pre-workout stuff. I don't know, it was like a thermogenic thing, which was probably stupid. I don't know why I did it, but it was dumb. And then it's really bad for me. And then I had like 2 eggs. So 2 eggs, a banana, and like that cardio cut stuff. And then I go to the gym in the morning and then go to class. And at that time I was mostly just doing cardio. Started to kind of get into the weightlifting, so I would do cardio in the morning and then I go back and do like 30 minutes of like strength training, or I just do an hour straight and do 30 of both. But my idea of strength training was, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna hop from machine to machine to machine and literally do a full body workout every single day. So I would just do like maybe one set, like maybe 10, 20 reps on one machine and then hop over to the next one. So I'd be like from abs to shoulders to like arms to back, and none of it made sense. Didn't know what I was doing, but at least I was trying. That's all that matters. So I ended up dropping back down to the 190s again, and then that summer I went home, I got a Planet Fitness membership, and I ended up getting my first car. My mom passed me down her old car and she got a new one, and I tried to go running at my high school on the track and went to Planet Fitness every evening, and dropped down. By the time I went back to college for my senior year, I dropped down to 174 pounds, and I'll try to put pictures up here. I was really proud of that. That's the lowest weight I've ever been in my adult life. It's really exciting. I ended up dating my now fiance then. It was probably about 4 years ago. So we started dating in that October. And then from there, things yo-yoed for a couple years later. Ended up moving quite a bit. I moved back home to student teach after my senior year, graduated, worked at a bank, and then moved, got my teaching certificate finally, and then moved to a small town to have my first teaching job. And I just gained and lost for a while, and it was pretty rough. I tried around a 5K, and then I gained some weight back, and then I was student teaching, moved to Germany, and I noticed that I was getting bigger in those pictures, which was really humiliating because those people had seen me at my lowest and they had seen me lose the weight, and now to come back to school and then notice that I gained the weight, nobody said anything, so I really appreciated that. But I knew what they were thinking. I knew that people could tell. So it was really hard on me mentally, and that kind of happened for a few years. And then when I moved my first teaching job, that January, I finally wanted to get back on track again. And this time I decided, okay, I'm gonna go get another trainer. I thought that's all I needed help with. I guess I didn't realize that nutrition is the main majority of it. She agreed to help me with advice on how to eat, but couldn't give me medical sound advice. So she just told me what she ate and said, if you want to eat what I eat, you can, but I'm not legally allowed to give you nutritional advice. But anyway, when I first met her, we talked about my goals, and I mentioned that when I was 174 pounds, I'll just show you a picture, before and after picture here. But I was really into the idea of doing a bodybuilding competition. I knew that it would be weird because I was 250 at my highest, so I knew, and I've been obese most of my life, so I knew I'd have loose skin and I wouldn't look like the other contestants. So it was kind of a thought that was just in the back of my mind, and I could see it happening, but at the same time, I didn't think anybody would train me or believe in me. So I didn't really put much extra thought to it. And when I just kind of nonchalantly brought it up to her, she got really excited. And she said she always wanted to train somebody for that, and that she wholeheartedly believed that I could get there. She did encourage that if we do go that route, that maybe someday I do get the extra skin removed, if I have any. I was pretty fortunate that in my during my 75-pound loss, I didn't have a whole lot. So I was hoping that maybe that'll be the case again. But we trained 3 days a week. She gave me kind of a list of what she ate when she was prepping, because she did a show, I think 5 years previous to that, before she started having kids. She did a show of her own, so she was really excited to train somebody else to do the same thing. So I started eating a lot of, this is the first time I've had a super clean nutrition, but I still cheated quite a bit. It was a pretty low fat diet, low carb, so I had a lot of chicken, rice. I was still eating Panda Express sauce and all my chicken. I was still trying to eat vegetables, bell peppers, stuff like that. I was trying to drink a gallon of water a day. I ate a lot of peanut butter. I ate spoonfuls of coconut oil every day, 1 spoonful. I either mix it in with my breakfast or a smoothie or something, but she always wanted me to eat 1 spoonful of that. And then peanut butter, protein shakes, just stuff like that. It was a pretty bland diet and really not the best now that I look back and know what I know now. But I was seeing results, and I'll show you one of these. The before picture, I was a little bit bloated, I have to be honest, but I think it was almost 230 pounds, 225, somewhere between there. And you can see a major difference between my upper back and how much my stomach and everything had shrunk. But that was really excited for me. That was really exciting for me, and I felt a lot more confident in my body and my fitness and stuff. But I still cheated quite a bit. I mean, I did pretty well for maybe a month, and then even during that month though, I had horrible cravings. I wanted anything and everything. I still ended up at Chick-fil-A and got junk food and stuff like that every once in a while, and just called it a cheat meal or a cheat day. And so I feel like I could have seen results faster had I actually got rid of some of these addictions and cravings. But we ended up moving back home, and I ended up getting a different teaching job that was kind of my dream job, working with the middle school that feeds into the high school I graduated from. So that was really, really exciting for me. Toby came with me, and we kind of had a rough start moving back out here. I tried to get a trainer, but he was more of a wrestler, so he wasn't really understanding completely of what I wanted to do and what my goals were. And I didn't feel like we were actually moving towards that. I felt like he was just giving me exercises, and that was it. So it was a little bit discouraging. And then on top of that, we had some financial struggles, and so got out from underneath that, ended up moving in with my parents, and that's where I gained quite a bit of my weight back. I was 195, and the before and after picture with my trainer, I'll try to post it back up here, at my lowest for that year was 195. And then I think I gained back up to 210, and then when I moved in with my parents, it ballooned all the way back to 225. So it was getting pretty bad. I finally decided, okay, finances are getting better. I've paid a lot of stuff off. because I had some dental bills and I had to have a CT scan. At this time I wasn't feeling very well. I had rashes all over the place. They're really itchy, but they hurt to scratch. I have like a very clear butterfly rash on my cheeks, so you can probably get what I'm getting to now. I had migraines every day. I was so exhausted that it took everything just to drag my feet to walk to my classroom. Like, teaching was hard. I had to stop teaching because I get chest pains like in my side so bad that I couldn't handle it. And as a band teacher, I play instruments and I model for the kids, and I couldn't even take deep breaths. And it was almost what people describe as coronavirus, but it wasn't really a thing at that time. So yeah, that started happening. I got freaked out. The nurse had to come in, like, take my blood pressure and stuff and kind of figure out what the heck was going on. Because chest pains are not a joke. And with my high inflammation that came back from my test, it's not something to play with. So my heart rate and everything seemed to be fine, so we weren't too worried about it. But I had to stop teaching constantly and sit down and try to wait for the chest pain to go away. And I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. I had to sit there and just wait patiently and then inch my way up. And I remember the kids being like terrified. They thought I was dying. But ended up being okay. I finally went in to see a rheumatologist, and I've been in to see one many times in high school, and they couldn't ever catch anything on the antibody test, but apparently they had a new one out, and he wanted me to take the new antibody test, which I ended up postponing because of the virus. But he told me I either have one of two things. If I don't have lupus, if the antibody test still comes back negative, then he thinks that I had just, an uncategorized, like, connective tissue autoimmune disease. So, unrecognized, I don't know. Just don't know what it is, but you have it. So it's like lupus, but we don't know what it's affecting or what it is. So I got put on Plaquenil, which is that weird medication started with an H that they think cures the virus or whatever. Whatever that is, that's what I got put on. And I started taking that in January. And then I started feeling a little bit better and trying to get back into the gym. I was really tired before, so I wasn't working out. I think that's a big reason for my yo-yo constantly, is I feel really good for a few months and then it would be in remission, and then the autoimmune disease would come back and I'd feel like crap again and lethargic and eat like crap and wouldn't feel motivated to cook, and I would just stay in bed all the time, and I wasn't working out consistently anymore. And I feel like that played a huge role in like the past several years of yo-yoing. But I finally decided to, I remember those paleo bar things my mom brought me in college. So I finally asked her, I was like, okay, what is this clinic? Like, what do they do? Who are they? You know, I just remembered having to walk into the building with them, with my mom after band camp, and just being so frustrated because I was hot and tired and I just wanted to go home. I was sunburned. And I just sit there and wait for my mom to talk to them for an hour, and I just remember them being both like really buff and big and strong, and I was like this fat little chubby like 230-pound kid, and I just felt so out of place and like awkward because I didn't know exactly what they did. And then come to find out later, more like functional nutrition and functional health and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested in this. I've always wanted a body scan, and they did something similar to that. And I thought this was more just weight loss. I thought, okay, it's just a weight loss doctor. So I was pretty naive. I ended up going to, or I called them first, and then they told me to sign up for like a dinner talk thing. And so I signed Tubby and I up, and we went to dinner, and this was right before the pandemic got bad. This is March, early March. And I remember I had just gotten over an upper respiratory virus that was unidentified. It wasn't the flu, came back negative for both flus, came back negative for strep throat, but I was coughing really bad. I had a lot of chest pain, chest congestion, so I'm not gonna assume anything, but I always wonder. And then Toby ended up with it too, and his came back negative, but I just got sidetracked there. Anyway, I was just getting over that, so hopefully if I did have it, I didn't give it to anybody else. So we went there and kind of listened to the whole spill, and then I realized that it was a huge blessing for me because it was a lot more than what I thought it was, and I didn't realize that lupus and weight or just autoimmune diseases and being overweight had so much in connection. And when they kind of talked about that, like hormones and stuff like that, that's when I realized, oh, okay, I needed this more than I thought I did. So then I realized it was a lot more than just losing weight, that this could. And I always thought, like, I always remembered looking back when I was doing really well eating and stuff. When I say really well, I mean like the rice and chicken and sweet potatoes and stuff like that, eating mostly that kind of stuff. I did notice that my symptoms were a lot less. So I've always kind of had symptoms, fatigue and stuff like that, but I noticed that it was not as bad when I was eating healthy and working out. So kind of like made that connection there. And we finally went ahead and signed up, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, I don't know if I can afford this, give it a shot. But I figured, I've tried 3 personal trainers. Obviously some of them worked, they really did, but I was getting to the point where I was confident in like my fitness, and so I needed help with nutrition. So I finally figured this is my way to reach out and get some help with that. I was honestly a little skeptical at first, because I got like, I don't know, people try to tell me that, oh, well, you can't cure things with just food. Like, there's a reason medicine exists and all this stuff, and try to talk me out of it. And I was like, well, I don't know. My mom knows them, and I know them well enough to know that they're good people, and I don't think they would scam, or, you know, this obviously has to work for some people. They wouldn't be so popular. So I went in and got my first set of blood work done and all that stuff, and the inflammation was still there even though I was on the Plaquenil, so that was interesting. So that kind of gave me an indicator right there that it had a lot more to do with, you know, the medicine could always handle. And I knew other people with autoimmune diseases who were on medication who still felt like crap. So I figured, you know, medication's not really gonna fix it. So this is kind of my only hope to get to the bottom of it, so that I don't live a miserable life for the rest of my life, because I was starting to get depressed and feel like 25 was just already the downhill for me. So I felt like a 50-year-old, and I was 25, and people commented on that, coworkers and stuff, saying that I looked really tired and I looked really sick, and that's not right because I'm only 25. It doesn't make any sense. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going through my quarter life crisis. So anyway, I started in on that, and that's kind of where I am now. The first few months were a little rough. Like I said, I was still living with my parents at that time, and they eat very different than what I was going for with their program. And I don't know, it just, my niece and nephew ended up moving in with us because they were still in school, and their parents both worked during the pandemic. And so they kind of did their online learning with us, and I was teaching online, so I helped them with their schoolwork and stuff. But 6 people under one roof was really hard, in one kitchen, eating very different meals. And it just got to the point where my niece started asking concerning questions about losing weight and stuff, even though she's underweight. She's very slim, and so her parents were like worried about it, and I was like, I don't want to, you know, cause them to have eating disorders, because I'm constantly eating different, eating healthy, even though they really should be eating healthy. I just didn't want to, you know, I worried about my niece and stuff, and my nephew. They ended up eating better, and we kind of talked about their food and stuff, and they made better choices, so it ended up being a good thing. But we just didn't want her to try to lose weight. We were worried that she was going to be concerned about that. So anyway, I ended up moving out finally, which made things a lot easier. We moved out. It was about my 3-month period with them. Finally seeing them, I started in April. So yeah, June, around end of June is when we started getting ready to move, and then July we moved. July 4th we moved into our new apartment, which is where I am now, and finally have my own kitchen and our own place again. So spirits are much higher now. It's not embarrassing anymore. It's worked out really well, and now I only stock my kitchen with things that I know I should be eating, and it's been a lot easier. And since then I've been able to completely cut out all sugar. I haven't had soda in weeks. I haven't eaten out in weeks. I haven't eaten junk food in weeks. And I haven't had cravings in weeks, which is unusual, because even, you know, during my 75-pound weight loss, I was still going to Taco Bell with my friends. I was still eating out. I was still, you know, going to Starbucks and getting sugary coffees, and I would just try to work out to work all of it off afterwards. But, you know, for it just does, those things don't work for me though. Some people are like, oh, it's healthy to have balance and to cheat. And for some people, if that's really what you want to do, and, you know, I couldn't cheat anymore. Every time I cheated, I would fall off track. So it was like an addiction. It would just go downhill from there. So I was done with that. And this is the first time in my life I don't have cravings. And I think it has a lot to do with completely cutting out sugar. So I don't know. I went to the grocery store. I noticed the only reason I noticed the junk food is because I noticed that I'm not attracted to it anymore. I'm like, oh, there's Oreos, like whatever. I just keep moving on. Like it doesn't, you know, I'm not like, oh, those are Oreos, man, those sound good. And then another thing I noticed is someone offered to buy us fast food, or offered to order us like pizza or something. And I just, without thinking twice, said, nope, I'm good, thanks. I don't eat that stuff anymore. And I didn't eat it, and that was that simple. Usually people offer me free food, I can't turn it down, but I was just not craving it. I'm just not, I don't even feel, there's two types of hungry I identify with. There's times where my stomach growls and I feel physically hungry, and then I have a mental hunger, which is like that addiction sense. And I struggle a lot with like binge eating. So I used to sit down when I was younger and eat like an entire bag of hot Cheetos and like 2 packets of zebra cakes. When I say 2 packets of zebra cakes, I mean like 4 little square cakes. And then I used to like dip my hot Cheetos in queso dip. It was really embarrassing, but that's, you know, I'd sit down and just do that. I mean, I could literally go through an entire box of zebra cakes and hot Cheetos and everything in like 2 days. I used to eat, my parents got McDonald's for me as a kid. Like, I would throw a fit if I didn't get 2 cheeseburgers and a large fry and like a large, like regular sugary Sprite. And it kind of blows my mind that I can hardly finish 2 eggs and a little piece of turkey, homemade turkey sausage. Like a little patty of turkey sausage this morning, like just filled me up so much, and I don't know, I just felt like I couldn't breathe. It was weird. Not in a bad way, but you know what I mean, when you're so stuffed, it feels like your stomach's gonna expand. But, you know, I can hardly finish a protein shake now. My stomach is shrunk a lot, and then my brain isn't craving food anymore. It's not hungry anymore. So the only time my stomach even growls is like first thing when I get back from the gym in the morning. So, because I also started intermittent fasting, so I stop at like 5 o'clock, and then I don't eat again. Excuse me. I don't eat again until like 10 a.m. I have to be back from the gym and get showered and everything. So it's kind of worked out really well for me. Anyway, the first 2 months on the program, I only lost like 4 pounds, but that's kind of expected, the way that I was still eating and inconsistent with going to the gym, working out. The gyms were closed for a good portion of that, which made it hard. But I ended up trying to cycle, and I got really into cycling. And I did that in college a little bit on my little mountain bike, but I finally got like a road bike, so I got really into that. And so now it's kind of something we do on the weekends for fun. But I've finally been really consistent with going to the gym every single day, and I built like a habit of going early in the morning, because I found that going late at night, I was pretty inconsistent with that. I just would get tired and then not feel like it, so I figured the morning's probably the best time to go, and it's better to go ahead and get the habit up and going now rather than waiting to go back to work for school to start, especially with the chaos of this year. So everything's going really well. I feel a lot better. I've still got a whole lot to lose. I've lost 15 pounds total on the program in the past 3 months. 11 of those pounds, I'm horrible at math. 11 of those were in the past like 2 weeks. So it's going really well. But anyway, I'm not sure how much I can really show or do, because I don't want to give away like their program. You know, I don't think that's fair, because they have to make a living too. But I will share a couple recipes here and there. I'm just not going to give you specifics. I will easily say just sugar is like the best thing I've ever cut out in my life. All my lupus symptoms are gone. I don't take naps anymore. All my rashes are gone. My chest pain's completely gone. My cheeks are always probably going to be red, but that's okay. I don't know, what else? My psoriasis patch is gone. Obviously lost some weight, and just overall feel a lot better. I put on muscle a lot easier now, which is cool. I always thought you had to eat a whole lot of carbs to build muscle, and I really don't eat that many, and I've noticed a bigger muscle gain now than I have ever in the past, even though I was eating a bunch of rice and oatmeal and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm really excited about it. This is still just the beginning. I still got a long way to go. So I'm really thrilled to take you guys with me, and I'll try to record and vlog throughout my day, kind of somewhat what I eat and what I do, and yeah, I just don't want to give too much away, like I said. So I apologize if you guys are like, what exactly do you eat? I want to know exactly what you eat. I don't know. I don't really feel comfortable giving all of that away, so I'll do the best I can. I'll at least give you guys a glimpse of what I'm eating and a general idea, and then yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do want to keep up with the journey, then please subscribe and maybe turn on your notifications, however that works. And I'll see you guys in the next one.